Nerd alert, nerd alert. Today's a day for the geeks, time trial day. I am late. Okay, I want to do something today that really shouldn't work on YouTube. That's a sell, eh? Because you know how, visually speaking, a time trial is probably the least exciting thing to watch. Well, how about watching along with me? There's a temptation. The time trial throws up so many time differences, doesn't it? And it ends up being quite crucial in the overall race. So if we're not watching the whole day, which is understandable because there's no big dramatic climax, we're looking at those time gaps at the end of the day, and we're sort of taking that as a reset of the race to come. However, there's a lot to pick apart in those time gaps, and also I figure it's a nice opportunity to talk about some riders we might not be talking about over the course of the next 2 weeks, because after today, the GC race might be over from a headline perspective, and we tend to hone in from here on in on the big names who are fighting it out for the overall. So we might not chat so much about Matthijs Rondel. I mean, he might storm to the top. Or even Egan Bernal. Thymen Arensman, what's he going to do today? He's quite a good Giro so far, hasn't he? So we know we're going to be looking at the likes of Ganna. We're going to be looking at the likes of Jonas Vingegaard for the stage. But it might be a nice little chance to pick apart the race a little bit and go into a bit of depth. Do you want to be a nerd with me? Come. So time trial underway. Filippo Ganna, what? Of the 8 time trials he's ridden at the Giro d'Italia in his career, he's never finished worse than second, and he's won 6 of them. How's about that for fact? Not mine. I nicked that from our show this morning, so I'll give producer Doug credit for that one. No surprise, though, that he is currently leading. We're into the last third right now of the riders to come. We had Tom Dumoulin on the show earlier predicting that Tom Dumoulin, of course, former Giro winner, champion time trialist, former world champion, in fact. He was predicting that Ganna would ride at 55 kilometres per hour based on his time for the shorter Tirreno Adriatico time trial earlier in the season and the wind speed and direction. Ganna rode at 54.921. Very strong prediction. How does he do that? So he's got the winning time at the moment, the leading time rather, of 45 minutes and 53 seconds. That's the time to beat. We're getting into the last 15 or so of the GC guys, so let's see how they get on. Agnes Sheffield, in fact, just finishing up. So we also get these through every day. This is our start list that's updated every day because, as you can see, for example, across the top, we've got their race number, we've got their current position in GC, and we've got the time gap to the top of the race. Alfonso Lalio right here. So he is race number 24. He's currently in first. Time gap to the top is 0 because he is at the top. We get that. And this is our virtual classification right now, which I find really interesting because Alfonso Lalio at the top, he's in at 2:24, and then this is the time gap of the riders to Jonas because we're expecting him to go in the lead, but not necessarily today. Okay, so top 10 riders at the start. Thymen Arensman is on the road, but he was 1:28 behind Jonas on stage 9. Not at all where we expected him to be. So it will be interesting to see how he fares in the time trial, whether the rest has helped, whether there is an issue with illness. 9 times out of 10, that's a lie. 10 times out of 10, when a rider is sick, we don't know about it until after the race or until after they've left. They try to keep it under wraps for as long as possible, unless they're starting to come out the other side. And then they give us a clue that they have been ill to reassure, not really to reassure, as a bit of a warning, I think, to other riders to say, yeah, he wasn't doing very well, but he was ill. Now he's coming back. So it's a bit of a psychological game played. So if Pelletari is actually sick, we're unlikely to get confirmation of that anytime soon. But we will be able to see today how he's faring without any tactics, without any climbs, with only himself, the bike, the head, the legs, and the finish line. There we go. That's Ben O'Connor leaving for his time trial. Leaving, like packing his bags, and off he goes. Rocketing down the start ramp is what I actually mean. So Ben is at 5:03 in the GC, 2:39 behind Jonas. He's been solid really for most of the race, but he lost 1:12 on stage 9 behind Jonas. Just looking at my notes here. He was 26 seconds behind Matthijs Rondel on stage 9, which was really interesting. Ben, quite a very proven GC rider in Grand Tours. Rondel, this new kid on the block, he's been amazing so far this race. Rondel is just above Ben O'Connor, points at the television. That's not Matthijs Rondel. That is Andreas Leknesson, who's just coming in over 3 minutes down at the minute. Rondel has been so interesting to watch, so exciting to watch. He's only 22. This is his second full year as a pro. It's his first Grand Tour. He's never had a pro win. He was 5th in the general classification at the Tour of the Alps, 2nd in the young rider classification behind Pellizzari. So he's coming into this with a huge amount of promise, but one of those riders who are sort of announcing themselves really at this Giro d'Italia, I'd say. He was also top 10 at Paris-Nice, actually. So it's been a really, really solid season for him. So he's next on the ramp. Let's see how he gets on. Thymen Arensman for me is going to be really interesting. Another rider who's had a good Giro d'Italia. He was co-leader really with Egan Bernal coming into this. Bernal hasn't had the best of form. Bernal's top finish so far in this race heading into today has been 17th. Not great for a previous winner of this race, previous winner of the Tour de France. Of course, we all know about the horrific crash that he suffered a few years ago. And we're just grateful he's here. We're grateful he's racing. But he hasn't, again, reached the heights of where he got to in terms of results. However, I have read that his performance is better than it's ever been. So that just goes to show how much this sport improves year on year. Incidentally, like all sports, it's why we see faster times. It's why we see better performances, world records broken, you know, just before anyone goes there. Where was I? Thymen Arensman, however, was like co-leader with Bernal, but he's had a really good start to the race. And he, consulting my notes, should have good hopes for today. He's 5 minutes back on Olalio, 2:36 back on Jonas. He's a proven Grand Tour stage winner. But more importantly than that, he was second in the individual time trial at Treno Adriatico earlier this year. Much shorter course, but still similar route. And it was Ganna who won that one. So we're expecting good things of him today and expecting him to move up the GC. Let's keep an eye on the Dutchman. Another few riders I've noted down in my terrible handwriting. I'm not going to show you that as riders to watch out for. Enric Mas, such an incredible Grand Tour rider. He crashed at the Tour de France last year, do you remember? Then he suffered an inflammation of a vein in his left leg, I think it was. Is that what I wrote down? Yeah. As a result of that crash. And so he hasn't had the best of health. He's been nowhere near the Enric Mas that we would usually see at a Grand Tour. So he's looking at stage wins. So really his performance here doesn't matter too much. As long as he's got a load of time to ship in the general classification, he will be allowed in a break. Unless, of course, there's another breakaway team who want to get in that. But you can't really stop Enric Mas on a rampage. So anyway, just a note on Enric Mas when we've got the time to today. Filippo Ganna. He's going to be a really interesting one because he was riding high in GC and it hasn't helped him, has it? Pink jersey earlier in this race, which is already a huge achievement, but he wants a stage win. But he's not been allowed to get into a breakaway because he's been too close on GC. So he went into today 9 minutes and 54 back, which hasn't really been enough for him to get up the road. So is he going to ride a conservative time trial today so that he gains more leeway to be allowed the freedom to get into a breakaway? By the way, when you say all of these things to people who've never watched bike racing before and don't necessarily understand it, you can understand why they don't understand it. You're going to get guys going to the start line today trying to ride a slower stage so that they lose time in the overall race, so that they have a better chance of being allowed an opportunity of going for a stage win. Oh, that's why we love it, isn't it? Okay, I'm also going to look at Igor Arrieta. How's he going to do? 8 minutes and 27 down. Right now, don't forget he was a stage 5 winner, one of the most remarkable stage wins of this Giro or many Giri or Grand Tours in recent years. That's when Olalio went into pink, of course. Etta had his crash, went the wrong way, still took a stage win. So I'd like to see what he does today. Kus. Wonder what time he's going to do. Super domestic at this race, of course, for Jonas Vingegaard. He obviously beat Jonas and Primoz a few years ago in the Vuelta when they were all teammates. What a brilliant, brilliant drama that was, and a very popular Grand Tour winner. However, he is here in full support. Lennart van Eetveld. Yeah, he had a really strong start, didn't he? I think he's a really exciting rider all the same, but he has been losing time. He's 7:37 at the minute, back on Olalio. He was still 7th, like top 10 by stage 4 of this race, but dropped out now of that contention. Bernal, we've mentioned. Derek G. West. What have we made of his race? Lidl Trek have had a really interesting Giro so far. They haven't, I don't like to speak in terms of negative. Jonathan Milan, their big sprinter, has been close in the sprints, but not yet with a stage win. That will be a source of some frustration for the team. Julie Ciccone has been in pink. That's amazing. He hasn't had the chance really to get into a break yet. I mean, he did, let's be fair, on stage 9, but brought back because he wasn't able to get in an earlier move and try to make a difference for the breakaway, staying away. So Derek G. West, 4th here last year, and maybe not having the GC ride so far that he would have liked and the team would have liked for him. I mean, I say that he has had 2 top 10s at this race. So he's solid. He's solid. That's him out in the road now. He has been solid, but not setting the race alight just yet. But you know what? Sometimes solid in this middle week, back end of the first week, through the second week, solid is often all you need to have a good finishing position in the GC. I say that like it's easy. What I mean is you don't need to be the one setting things alight to be in contention for the podium or indeed top 5. Pellizzari on the road right now, his average has been 47, 48 kilometers per hour. Oh no, that's not the average. That's his current 49 kilometers per hour. Big pressure on the young Italian. Big pressure. Love to see him do well. We shall see. And Jai Hindley is just about to start, by the way. He's at, in case you wonder why I'm looking down, I keep showing you my notes, at 4:32 the GC, 2:08 behind Jonas right now. He was 23rd in fact, the last 2 time trials that he's done, but most recently Tirreno Adriatico, which has been quite a mark for predictions at least coming into this race. Beyond that, his previous 2 time trials were 35th, I think, and 30th. Obviously, every time trial is so completely different in terms of course, length, altitude. This one is a pan flat, really, for UK, but it's going to be a test for him, isn't it? And Felix Gall, what can he do today? I think for any neutral watching this, would love to see Felix Gall doing a good TT. He was 5th at the Tour de France last year. We know he has pedigree. He's been 2nd twice at this race, both times when Jonas has won. So he's the only rider who's stayed anywhere near Jonas Vingegaard. The problem he has is that Jonas Vingegaard is an incredible time trialist. So we would imagine Jonas is going to make time and everybody else today. For Felix Gall to stay in this mix, he's got to lose as little time as possible. But if we're going to look at earlier season TTs as a marker, at the UAE Tour earlier this year, he lost 47 seconds in the time trial day alone. That was on stage 2, I think it was. And that was a much shorter TT. That was 12 kilometres compared to today's 42. So the neutrals will be cheering on Felix Gall for what it's worth. And before I move my way over to start getting ready for the post show, none of these riders have come in yet. I said it was going to be a little watch along. It's just a chat along at this stage because by the time they come in, I'll be getting ready to go on air again. But yeah, Elalio, what can he do today? What can he do? Hopefully rather wonderful things. He is 2 minutes and 24 seconds ahead of Jonas Vingegaard. Now, the interesting thing as well with Vingegaard is that the rumour is amongst the Visma Lease bike team that the blue skin suit he's wearing today might cost him as much as a minute on this 42 kilometres. We're hearing all sorts of chat about the skin suit though, because apparently it's actually very good, as you would imagine with Castelli. Castelli makes beautiful, wonderful, high-tech kit. The counter-argument that actually the Castelli time trial skin suit might even gain him time. I think that would be unlikely given the amount of testing they've done in the wind tunnel, but there'll be no excuses at the end of the day, whatever happens. If Jonas doesn't get as much time out of this time trial as he would have liked, they'll not be blaming the skin suit. He's just got to give it his all, doesn't he? Okay, there's Jai Hindley getting ready to head off, which means I'm going to get ready to head off to get dressed for the post show. Let's see how it goes. Try to do little bits of watch along as I go. Otherwise, it's an empty promise at the start of the day. Thymen Arensman, 3rd fastest at the first time check, so going faster than Jonas by some margin. So Jonas losing time over Thymen at this stage. See what I mean? It's all really interesting, actually. It might not be the most visually dramatic, but this is a few unexpected turn-ups, really, isn't it? Felix Gall, 27th at the first time check. He's lost like half his time, his lead already over Arensman. It's going to be a hard day for Gall. Damn it. Holy moly. Jonas is only 10th fastest at the first time check. It's a bit unexpected. And I picked him as well for the stage win today. Not liking that very much. That's going to change, surely, isn't it? That's all about pacing, isn't it? And by the way, yes, I did think I had to go in a little bit earlier than I did. So I'm back in the green room watching this. Not yet changed for the show, but I might have to now. I think I'm cutting it a bit fine. Because Elalio was out in the course. We've had the first time check, or we're getting the first time check shortly anyway. How's he doing? Coming up to it. Give me a sec, then I'll go get changed. Where are you? Where's the clock? Where's the clock? I can't see the gaps. Okay. Fastest time for Elalio. He's lost 50 seconds already on Jonas. So he had a 2 minute and 24 second buffer. This might be a fight for pink after all. We thought that he would just about manage to keep hold of that. Depends on whether Jonas is on a bad day, but it looks like Elalio is going to have a hard time with this one. Okay, Giulio Pellizzari, 3 minutes and 18 down on Filippo Ganna, finishing in 15th so far, 51 something kilometers per hour. Jai Hindley finishing now, 2 minutes 567 behind Ganna. So what's his time differential on Giulio Pellizzari? Hang on a minute. Is that right? Oh no, he's not finishing yet. He's not finishing yet. That was a time gap. That was a time check. Oh, this is confusing. Okay, going to head back in again. Jonas has got about 15 minutes left on his time trial. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how he fares in the second half of this course, isn't it? I don't want to tear myself away, but I gotta go get changed. Well then, takeaways from that, eh? Elalio's still in pink. What a performance from him. Jonas not having the time trial, maybe we would have expected, certainly I had expected, but actually in his longer time trials in recent Grand Tours, he's not been quite so up there. He's so light and such a mountain goat that these longer, flatter time trials maybe just don't suit him anymore. A huge day for Thymen Arensman, which we kind of predicted. Hard day for Felix Gall. The fact that Jonas lost time on Thymen Arensman, but also Ben O'Connor and also Derek G. West, that's what's interesting. However, my take on this is Derek G. West may be building some form. Ben O'Connor, good to see him taking some time back today. Love to see him in this GC mix. I just wonder whether, and this is just a little theory of mine, I wonder whether Jonas has come into this race deliberately undercooked. That's not the theory bit, okay? Because we would expect that, because he's also going for the Tour de France. So he can't come in at 100%. And also, all the talk is that Jonas, subpar, will still win this Giro d'Italia. The fact is, that's what he wants, to win the Giro and also be in form for the Tour de France. So I just wonder whether maybe he's a little bit more undercooked than we expected, certainly. The important thing for him is, well, the important thing for the race is that the race is still the one. It's way more interesting than I thought it would have been at this stage. But also, the riders that he lost time to today are the riders he has gained time on in the mountains. So actually, everything balanced out still looks very much in favour of Jonas Vingegaard. I don't think anyone has doubted him whatsoever for the overall win. But it's been interesting, hasn't it? On to stage 11 next. Hope you enjoyed.